You are listening to Slightly Warped, the podcast that tackles topics with a unique perspective. Here's your wild card, Richard Kearney, and your whimsical, Ryan Pulley.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Slightly Warped Podcast. I'm Rick, joined as always by Big Show.
What
What's
up,
up, man?
How are you?
I'm doing all right. I mean, it's a slow week. Just
Few
trying
days
to,
before Christmas time. Have you
yeah,
been a
trying
good
to
boy?
survive.
Santa Claus going to bring you lots of goody toys and all that good stuff.
Santa Claus don't even care about me anymore.
Oh, so you've been on that permanent naughty list.
Yeah, after that lump of coal, I never heard from him again.
I get coal every year, so
Worry
he
when the
loves
coal
me.
stops. When the coal stops, it's time to worry.
There you go.
So, couple things to get to today, and the theme of this week is we're going the wrong way. And I know we've talked about a lot of backwards things in society lots of times on the show. Well, yeah, it doesn't appear to be getting any better anytime soon. So all you people that are out there getting that Christmas spirit, this isn't the show for you. All right.
Go ahead and change the channel now.
Yeah. Or don't change the channel. Stay here and learn something with us. All right. First up, show. I want to get to this, man. A school bans a 5-year-old haircut that hides his alopecia. There's so many things wrong with just that sentence. They banned a 5-year-old. This kid ain't old enough to know right from wrong. By the way, he didn't
Banned
do
him
anything
from
wrong.
what?
Huh?
Like from school? Like banned him from kicked him out of the school?
Yes, he's banned from school because of his haircut. Now, I don't know if you read the article or saw the picture.
I'm looking at the picture now. I don't see
Okay,
nothing wrong with it.
that's what I was going to say, bro. This kid's
It looks,
haircut is no different than any other young kid's haircut that I've seen, like, ever.
yeah, it looks like a flat top, like when we grew up, like Kid and Play.
Yes, this haircut looks fantastic. I have no problem with this at all. What were they expecting him to wear his hair as? I mean, it's not like he came in dreads, which should still be okay because it's about, what's socially acceptable for you, because it has nothing to do with learning anything. He doesn't have an afro, he doesn't have cornrows, he doesn't have dreads. It's not weird colors. It's just a basic haircut.
Now, is this a public school or private school?
Let's go to the article here. Now it's talking about the wrestler. It's in Cary, Rochester.
So the policy, hairstyles that detract from learning. So evidently, this kid's hairstyle is going to detract him and others around him from learning.
Man, that fade is so tight, I just can't get with my math
I
work.
I can't concentrate.
Okay, so the school's head teacher, Carrie Rochester, and yeah, I'm calling her out right now. You're an idiot. You are an idiot. It says the policy states hair should be satisfactory length. Okay, for a little black boy, what is satisfactory length? He lost his playtime. See, we're not even talking about learning anything. They're not letting him play.
So he's not kicked out of the school. He just can't go to recess.
Oh, because if you play with those other kids with all that hair, oh my God, they might fall off the jungle gym. Now, I like this part at the bottom. The hair policy lacks cultural awareness. As a grade 2 haircut, it's not fair for Joshua's type of hair and others from different racial backgrounds. I agree with that because it's like I said at the beginning. Um, I I mean, I really can't say what would make
It,
this hairstyle bad. It's not.
for our, for our viewers on YouTube, can you throw the pictures on the screen real quick so they can see?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then scroll down. They have a side view of him right about where you were reading the policy from that Danica lady.
There we
Yeah,
go.
right there. Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that haircut.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with this haircut. I know a lot of boys who've worn that haircut. There is nothing wrong with that haircut. And not once does it make me say, this is going to keep him from learning.
Yeah. I don't I don't get it.
Hmm. So,
And he's had the same haircut since he was 1. Is this his first year at this school? First day?
now see, it doesn't tell me that. I am deeply fascinated as to what this school is all about, man. Now, he has alopecia, so I want to go through this with everybody. Signs of traditional alopecia: a receding hairline, typically around the forehead, temples, or nape. Small pimples appear on the scalp or at the base of braids. Redness, itching, ulcers on the scalp. The hair parting widens. Patches of thin or broken hair in places where the hair has been under strain, and patches of shiny, scarred skin in more advanced cases.
I'm glad you read that because our show's called Slightly Warped. I read small nipples appear on the scalp or at the base of braids. We're slightly warped, so that's how I read. I'm like, whoa. I'm glad you were reading it because in my brain that's what popped out. But if you look
Wow.
right there on the bottom, it says the school has no record of any medical conditions that the child suffers from on medical forms provided by the parents.
Hmm. So it seems to me this is more about, hey, you haven't submitted any medical forms, so we're just not down with this haircut.
Yeah.
And it says we take our school policies and rules extremely seriously. There's your first mistake. If you take a policy that serious and you don't have any leeway, that's wrong.
I agree. That
In this part, unfortunately, if the family continued to ignore the school rules, then appropriate sanctions have to be made. I mean, you already took the kid's playtime. Are you going to take his toys away too?
I'm just curious what their rules are for appropriate hair length. Like what do they want him to do? What is it exactly that they want him to do? How do they want him to cut his hair? Or you know what I mean? Like what are they suggesting
I
he
mean,
change?
that would be a good question. Do they want it uniform all the way around? Does it need to be an afro? Does it need to be completely cut off? Or are they just going for a little bit shorter on the top? I mean,
Yeah, I don't understand what it is exactly that they're needing.
all right, gang, if you're watching or listening, drop us a line and let us know what you think about this. Is 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 the school out of line, or is anybody out there who believes that this is appropriate and the school is right? Absolutely. I'd love to hear from you because I'll rip your comments to shreds in the next episode because that's what we do here because we're right. You're not. Next story.
Yeah, how dare you have an opinion?
Yeah. Not today. You won't. No, seriously. Yeah, I value everybody's opinion, so it's all good. I get that. But, this whole story is just a travesty. So we'll go from one travesty to the next. American fiction star Jeffrey Wright says he's fought mind-blowing racial ignorance in Hollywood. Quote, I grew up in America. It's familiar territory. All right, before we go into the story, for those of you who are not familiar with Jeffrey Wright, oh, his career goes back a long ways. You remember that movie Shaft with Samuel L. Jackson,
Yes.
where he played the Latino bad guy?
I'm looking him up because I can't picture him in my head.
He played that part so good. I actually thought that he was Latino.
I'm actually Jeffrey Wright.
Yes. Westworld, for those who are not as familiar with the old stuff. The
Was he
Batman.
the
He's
was
Commissioner Gordon in the new Batman movie.
once you said okay, yeah. Once you said Westworld, I know who he was.
Yeah.
So okay. I don't recall him playing you're talking about with the dude from Twilight Batman?
Yeah. Yeah. He's that Commissioner Gordon.
I don't even remember the commissioner. All I remember is the Riddler and him. So and Catwoman.
Right. See, now you made me forget the story. Yeah. We'll
Jeffrey
save
Wright.
that one for another time. But basically, American Fiction cast members Jeffrey Wright and Tracy Ellis Ross and Erica Alexander opened up to the Wrap about their past experiences with racism in Hollywood, being racially typecast to colorism and racial. Make sure I pronounce this word right. I don't want to be like Big Show here and see nipples where there aren't any. Microaggressions on set. It's pretty clear Hollywood still has a ways to go to tackle systematic racism. Um, I'm not going to go into Oscars so white and stuff like that because I'll get on my soapbox again about that. Y'all know where I stand. If you don't, check out several episodes. Uh, anyway, they go on to say, well, before I even go any further, let me touch on that for a lot of people that don't know that, and there are people of many colors, from white to black and anything in between, that do get typecast. So I see that, but on the one side, I can see where it would become so offensive because that is all that people see you as. And the reason why I bring that up is because the whole point of me bringing up one of the first roles that I saw Jeffrey Wright on, he wasn't even playing a black guy, and he did it so well. So he broke the barrier before we realized there was a barrier, or before the barrier came to the forefront, because the barrier's been there. I appreciate that about him. He's a very underrated actor. And he says, I grew up in America. It's familiar territory. I was doing a reading of a William Faulkner short story. It was the funniest thing and is kind of indicative of the silliness. It was about a Southerner who was an officer in the Confederate Army, and accompanying him on his way into battle was this man whose freedom he owned, his slave. The director said to me at one point, okay, this is where we are. You're coming back home now from the war. It's been brutal, it's been depleting. And he said to the guy who was voicing the officer of the Confederate, you're feeling all of this. And he said to me, you're just happy to be home. Wow. And internally, I was like, wow, man, you think this man who accompanied this guy was somehow immune to the brutality, the vulgarity of death on all sides? And that didn't penetrate his humanity, and he was just happy to be home. It was amazing to me to think that someone could be so damn shallow-minded not to understand that guy's experience on some level and was identical to the man that he had accompanied. I found it to be mind-blowing and also sad. I more pitied him for his absence of understanding the world. And there's more to it than that, but I want to break there because we watch a lot of TV and a lot of movies, and there is a lot of negativity towards the African American community, the Black community, in a lot of shows, especially early on in the later 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. It seemed like there's a lot of Black guys, the typical Black guy, follow me, Big Show. Pants are sagging. He's got gang colors. Hat might be to the back. And it was always broken English. But we are more than that. We are educated. We dress and talk properly. We have manners and mannerisms the same as anybody else. And it's not just the Black community. There's a stereotype for the Asian community as well. There's a stereotype, and you can break it down across any racial or ethnic background, whether it be Mexican, Latin American community. I could go on and on. What is it that they do? The heavy, thick accents when somebody's playing a Russian gangster. Hey, did you take into account that this person's probably lived in the States all his life? That accent may not be so thick.
Define a character where that comes into play, because normally any show that I watch and they're will just use the Russian accent, they're like a spy or a bad guy or whatever, and they weren't born in America. Normally, that character.
Russian mafia in Hawkeye, the Disney series.
Okay, the Russian mafia.
They were the tracksuit mafia. They were youngish. I can't say that they were born in the States, so that my argument might not hold any validity there. But
I mean, but that's what I mean. I mean, but they could have been over here from Russia. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's no clear point A to point B type of thing. To me, that's a bad example, but I understand what
fair
you're
enough.
saying.
Fair enough. But yeah,
Um,
we do have to have writers and directors that are more sensitive to what's going on and not be so one-sided.
well, yeah, in a perfect world, that's exactly how it would be. But Hollywood mirrors real life,
But
and
that's
until
the
we get
thing.
it,
Out here
but
in the
until we
real
get it
world,
right in the real world, people are still going to have those views.
yeah, they
So
are. But
that's the problem. I mean, it mirrors real life, and people have those bigotry thoughts. They have them racial thoughts, them things like that, and it just mirrors into their daily life. If they're a writer, they're going to write about it. I mean, pick up any book that an author, whatever they thoroughly believe in, is going to come across in their writing.
I
In my
get
humble
that.
opinion. But until we fix it on the outside, nothing's going to change.
We do need more pushback
I mean,
from.
when we were growing up, I mean, granted, there's always the racial tension has always been there, and I don't ever see it going away. I mean, it just, and not in my lifetime, I don't think. I mean, it's just getting worse, but worse for the point of people are more sensitive to it, if that makes sense. Like back in the day, like even go back to the old Saturday Night Live comic shows, when Eddie Murphy was on there, and with the buckwheat stuff and all that. It
Yes.
was it was making fun of the whole genre. Nobody was getting butthurt about Eddie Murphy doing that. You ain't gonna find nobody doing that today.
And see, that's a whole nother thing there too, because I was watching something. Rob Schneider was being interviewed, and he was talking about today's stand-up comedy versus just 15 years ago. And you're absolutely right. You could get away with so much when people went to a show. If you were on the front row, you might as well expect to be insulted. You might expect to be the butt of a joke. Nowadays, people go almost expecting to be insulted so they can get up and walk out and say what a piece of
Yeah.
shit you are.
I mean, one of the all-time funniest Saturday Night Live things that I remember is with Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor. And Richard Pryor was interviewing for a job, and Chevy Chase was the
The
guy
wordplay.
interviewing Richard Price. Yes,
That
and
was
he was like, and they
hilarious.
were like, all these bad names, like Portsmouth Cracker, all the
Yeah.
way through, and and then he dropped the N word or he said something, and then Richard Pryor said honky, and then uh Chevy Chase dropped the N word, and Richard Pryor said dead honky. Everybody laughed. Nobody was butthurt about that. No, you can't do that crap now. You just can't. People get too uptight. We can't laugh at ourselves. We're too worried about stepping on people's toes and to laugh at yourself. I mean, I don't know. I the country's getting worse in that aspect in my mind. I just try to swim in my own lane, not make too many ripples in other people's lanes, and deal with the things that come in front of me. But yeah, it's until it's fixed in the real world, I don't see it being fixed in Hollywood.
He's right. And we are going the wrong way. That leads me to this story here. A black woman was criminally charged after a miscarriage. Yeah, y'all heard that right. The woman had a miscarriage and she was criminally charged. Now, just glossing over this story here. It was in Columbus, Ohio, not far from here, not a different country, right here in the States. Brittany Watts, 21 weeks and 5 days pregnant, began passing thick clots of blood. I won't go into the gory details. You already know where it's going because I told you she had a miscarriage. Now the doctor said that while a fetal heartbeat was still present, Watt's water had broken prematurely, and thus the fetus she was carrying would not survive. He advised heading to the hospital to have her labor induced so she could have what amounted to an abortion to deliver the non-viable fetus. Otherwise, she would face significant risk of death according to the records of her case. So keep in mind, this baby is not going to survive, period. The doctors already said that. We need to go ahead and have it aborted. We need to go ahead and do this ASAP so that you have the best chance of survival as well. Long story short, she did that. That was a Tuesday in September. What followed was a harrowing 3 days. She made multiple trips to the hospital. This, that,
Now,
and
when
the
you read
other.
right there, that's why she got charged. That's paragraph you get ready to read is
Yeah,
what she
okay.
did afterwards.
Watts miscarrying into and then flushing and plunging a toilet at her home. A police investigation of those actions, and Watts, who is black, being charged with abuse of a corpse. Now, that's a fifth-degree felony and punishable up to 1 year in prison. So let me stop you right there, Big Show. Abuse of a corpse. you never really hear that in the same sentence. How do you abuse a corpse?
Exactly what she tried to do. Anytime that let's say, like serial killers are known to get charged with this because, if they mutilate the body or set it on fire or whatever, they get charged with abuse of a corpse.
Mm.
It's, but it sounds like I'm kind of confused because did she have the miscarriage in the hospital or did she miscarry at home and then try to flush it because it says right there she didn't tell her family or anything that she was pregnant?
I think
Like
it
it
was
doesn't sound
induced in
like
the hospital and it continued at home.
it doesn't sound like she was being very honest about the whole thing, which is probably why she's getting charged. Not the fact that she had the miscarriage. I think
It
that's
was
kind of
everything after that. Yeah.
I think it's the whole thing is kind of misleading.
See, Brittany, I was getting ready to take up for you, Brittany, but you blew it.
Just reading, what this article says, it doesn't sound like she was being completely 100 on it.
No, she wasn't.
And the whole abortion thing, that's a whole nother topic. Everybody has a right to their opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my hands off of that for a while. That might be one where we have to have a panel of women. That way
Why?
we can, hear.
Why? Go ahead and shoot your shot. I mean, who cares it's your opinion.
Well, my opinion.
I'm on both sides of the fence.
I am too, because I was going to say
my religious
it depends on the
side
situation.
Says, well, no, I mean, because it doesn't. The Bible says thou shalt not kill, right? So even if somebody kicks in your front door, theoretically, you're not supposed to kill them. But I guarantee you, I'm going to kill them. The Ryan Bible says I would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Okay. So if somebody kicks in my front door, my door's locked for their protection, not mine. Okay. So if you step across my threshold and mean bodily harm, I'm going to take action. But that's still a sin. Murder is murder, no matter how you put it. The Bible doesn't say thou shalt not kill unless somebody kicks in your front door. Okay.
Yeah.
So it depends on the scenario. So religious wise, I am against it. However, realistically, I don't have a uterus, as far as I know.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing.
And so because of that, I don't have a problem with a woman deciding to terminate her pregnancy if she feels that is the best for her life moving forward, regardless of the circumstance.
Agreed.
I don't agree in homosexuality, but I'm not against a homosexual. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense because that goes with my adage: hate the sin, love the person.
Right. That's, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I mean, just don't, I'm not going to partake. You know what I mean? I don't care if you smoke crack, but smoke it by yourself. Don't ask me to smoke. So,
Hey, for all you homosexual men out there, that's more women for us.
All right. Shit, I can barely handle the one I got.
Ain't that the truth? All right. The moment you've all been waiting for. Everybody's like, get to it, Rick. The National Football League. Ryan, if the playoffs were to start today, today, let's see where we would be sitting here. By the way, my team.
Well, the Raiders would be sitting at home.
Yes. Thanks for sharing there, buddy. Appreciate that.
No problem. I was here to help.
Yeah, I see that. All right. In the NFC. Okay. Yeah, this whole thing is wrong. They've got the Ravens clinching a playoff spot, but hey, are they the only ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only ones who have clinched.
In the AFC, they've clinched. In the NFC, the 49ers, Cowboys, and Eagles have all clinched. The Eagles laid an egg last night too, by the way.
Well, the Cowboys laid an egg the day before.
That is true. Here's where it would land, though. Arizona gets in. If the playoffs started today, they'd have to play the Niners, but sucks to be you guys.
No,
Buffalo would.
They wouldn't.
I'm sorry. Arizona's not in. What am I looking at? That's who they've got next week. They've got Arizona. So
No,
the
they
Niners
don't.
are going to keep
The
on rolling.
49ers play the Ravens this week. What are you looking at?
No, the 49ers don't play the Ravens.
Yes, they do. They play them Christmas night. Christmas night.
Oh, you know what I'm looking at?
I have no idea.
This thing was printed this week. So it was before the games. They've already played them. So we're not worried about
No,
who they're playing on here.
they haven't already played them. They play them on Sunday.
No, I'm talking
or
about
Monday.
Arizona. They already played Arizona.
Yeah, last weekend. Yes.
Yeah. By the way, in the hunt, I like the way they put it, in the hunt. Like these teams aren't going to get in. The Dolphins are number 2. The Chiefs are number 3.
Mhm.
They're in. It's just going to be a matter of seeding. Now, you could say in the
I
hunt
mean,
for Jacksonville.
not necessarily. Jacksonville's not in the hunt because they're leading their division. 1, 2, 3, and 4, those guys are going to be guaranteed because they're winning their division. However,
But Jacksonville's only up by 1 game. And
doesn't
they
matter.
play Houston coming
it
up.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're right. You said if it started today.
Yeah. If it started today, you're in. The Browns are
but-
in.
Yep. The Chiefs would be playing. We'd be playing the Browns. Right? No, go down. We'd be playing number 6. Who's number 6?
It's a jar mess. The Bengals.
We'd be playing the Bengals if the playoffs started today.
So we'd have to hear more about that Burrowhead stuff, huh?
I doubt it because Burrow's not playing, but
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's a good point. The Colts are in. Well, now here's the teams on the bubble, the Texans. So that's what I was talking about earlier. That could flip flop between them. And
I would say this is where it says in the bubble. These are the team that are in the hunt
yes,
because above that would be the people that are actually in the playoffs. If it ended today,
look at that. The Broncos are still in it. We got to take care of that. This is so funny. My team is in the hunt. Way down here at number 12. You know how much has to happen for that to, yeah. A lot's got to go down.
theoretically, not really, because scroll up a little bit.
I mean,
Scroll
Denver's
back.
going to lose to the Lions. The Steelers might lose to the Colts.
Scroll down. Denver's already lost to the Lions. That was this past Saturday. Scroll down. Go back. No,
We're back.
I want to see who's above. Yeah, I want to see who's above right there. So Texans are 8-6. The Bills are 8-6. You guys are 7-8, right?
Yes.
So if those 8, 9, 10, and 11, let's just say all shit to bed, you guys would be able to jump up there. The probability is slim, but mathematically they're still. And this is the new NFL. This is the what they call it, everybody's matched up equally.
Yeah.
What's
Parity.
the word? Parity. That's
Parity.
it. Parity in the league.
All right. So Chiefs Raiders, Christmas Day. Who you got?
I don't know. Who you got?
Raiders.
Good
Simply
call.
because they learned a lesson from the last time they played them. Don't go into safety mode after you go up by 14. Because the Chiefs will come back on your ass.
So you think that the Chiefs are actually going to drop one of the next 3 games and not have an opportunity?
Here's the thing. If the Chiefs lose any game, it's going to be this one. I don't think they really will. I'm picking with my heart instead of my head, but that's because I'm a Raider fan. But
I'd say the only game that they're guaranteed they probably won't lose would be the last one against the Chargers.
Yeah. Maybe y'all can get the record on them since, all we were able to do was 63 them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about the record. I'm just, the Raiders is going to be a tough game. The Bengals the following week for us is going to be a tough game. But I don't foresee us losing again at home. We've already lost twice at home this year. I don't foresee that happening.
Let's just put it this way before we go. I don't see the Chiefs losing, but I will have my Patrick Mahomes voodoo doll out.
I'll have my Rick voodoo doll out. So if Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, you all of a sudden your back's gonna hurt, buddy.
That's where that backache comes from. All
And
right, show
if the
less than a minute. Take us on out of here.
hey, have a Merry Christmas. I don't know if we'll be on next year, but or next week. If not, Happy New Year. And yeah, tomorrow's not promised. Love your family members.
Yeah. Ow. Put that doll down. Later, everybody.